Good morning, everyone, and today we are heading out on a trail that we haven't covered in over 3 years. And that is the Backway to Crown King. On this ATV ride, we'll check out the trail, talk about some updates and trail difficulty changes, and check out a few mines around the Oro Belle area, just south of Crown King. Hello everybody and welcome to Lake Pleasant. We are parked here just off of Cow Creek Road, and today we are heading back out on the ATVs for another trail ride. So as we get everything ready for the ride, I want to talk real quick about this trail. The Backway to Crown King has long been one of the most popular trails in the state. The 26-mile-long trail traverses the Bradshaw Mountains, passing many historic sites along the way before ending up in the cool pines of Crown King. Now, as far as difficulty goes, this trail changes a lot. The last time we were on the trail was on our adventure to the bottom of the Grand Canyon 3 years ago. That is when me and my cousin took my Jeep up the trail, and at the time it was actually fairly easy. Now, over the years, I've heard reports of things changing, so we wanted to head back out here on a ride and see how the trail looked firsthand. One thing to note, since we are on ATVs, we won't be doing any of the optional bypasses today. We'll just be sticking to the main trail. But since we are out, we will be checking out a few of the old mines, as well as trying to scout a future mine exploration trip up on some of those lesser traveled back roads to the south of Crown King. It looks like we are all ready to go, so we are going to roll out on the trail. The trail remains easy and pretty uneventful for a while, so we'll be laying down some quick miles as we head north. Once we get to the first major change to the trail, we will jump back in with an update. Okay, so just past the Prescott National Forest boundary, we have come to one of the major changes to the trail. Everything up until this point has been nearly the same. A few of the hills have changed a little bit, but for the most part, things are the same until here. The trail here has been rerouted into a creek bed due to a mining company buying and operating on the property along Humbug Creek. The road says that it's under construction, but it is nothing more than a slew of boulders in the creek bed that makes for a pretty bumpy and slow ride. There's lots of signs posted by the owners of the mining operation, so be sure not to trespass and stay on the designated road. Past the mine property, the road turns pretty gnarly. It took a little time and effort getting our ATVs up this rock ledge and back onto the official trail. It turns out this obstacle actually has a tight and pretty easy to miss bypass just to the left that we didn't see the first time by. Either way, past this point, four-wheel drive and high clearance are getting to be necessary, as the road won't be getting any easier. After getting jostled around a bit, we stopped for a quick water break at an old cabin in the shade of Humbug Creek. This crumbled cabin used to be the home of William Kentuck Belle, one of several miners who established his homestead here along the creek. Belle and his neighbors Burro John and Al Francis, who jokingly called his cabin Fort Misery, worked the mines and helped haul ore from the Oro Belle up to Crown King. Despite the cool history here, it was time to keep moving up the trail. For the next few miles, the trail remains moderate. There are a few smaller rock ledges to navigate, and things can be a bit narrow for larger vehicles in certain spots. After crossing the creek bed a few times, the trail comes to the second major change. Just before Oro Belle is another series of pretty good rock ledges. The first one can be climbed with some careful tire placement, but there is no going around this one. The road remains fairly difficult as it passes through the remnants of Oro Belle. Being on ATVs, we were able to pick our lines carefully through this section. Full-size vehicles will require a little more careful tire placement on some of the rocks in order to avoid body damage. We made a hard left turn and began up the long hill climb. We would be coming back down to Oro Belle in a little bit, but we wanted to check out a few mines further up the trail first. After a rough and steep climb, we arrived at a stunning viewpoint as the road leveled off. We took a small trail that branches off of the main road into Crown King. The trail took us down to what remains of the tunnel mine, the first of several quick stops planned for the day. Unfortunately, the trail is posted as no trespassing, so we were forced to stop just short of the end of the road. This is a new update since a few years ago we were actually able to drive right down to the old buildings you're seeing now. I'll try and lay some of the old footage we have over this so you can at least see the buildings up close. Anyways, the tunnel mine was a small operation with limited written history and few remaining buildings and workings left today. The tunnel mine sits just to the south of the much larger and more successful Tiger Mine. Just over the hill were the remains of this highly productive mining operation. The Tiger was first discovered in 1871, just a year after the discovery of the nearby Del Pasco. These two mines helped kick off what would be an all-out frenzy of mining and exploration of the area surrounding Crown King. The Tiger naturally boomed pretty quickly. After a few years of less than ideal ore, the big one hit and the town of Moreland City was developed and a stamp mill was constructed on site. The Tiger operated until 1911, producing over $750,000 of primarily silver ore. The Tiger also helped encourage the development of countless other operations, including Oro Belle to the south. The ruins of the Tiger that remain today are fairly substantial. However, like the tunnel mine, it appears that access is non-existent. Before heading back down the mountain to Oro Belle, there was one more thing we wanted to check out, and that was an access road going east off the Crown King Road. This old mining road makes a loop back down to Oro Belle and connects numerous other mines in the area, including the Mascot, Rapid Transit, and New Savoy mines. While we wouldn't be doing this today, we wanted to see if the road was open and in decent condition for a possible future ride video. After a quick walk down the road and an overflight of the area, it looked like nothing was blocked off and it would make for an interesting trip when we had some more time to explore. After getting some good intel on the area, we headed back down the mountain to Oro Belle. Since it was getting to be around 11 o'clock, we stopped in the shade to grab a quick bite to eat. Upon first glance, there doesn't appear to be much left at Oro Belle, which was once a major producer and population center here in the Bradshaws. However, upon closer inspection, foundations, collapsed ruins, and other mining evidence remain tucked into the surrounding hills. Mineral wealth at Oro Belle was discovered shortly after the initial discovery of the Tiger Mine to the north. However, success of this mine didn't come until around the turn of the century in 1900. It was at this time when a rich gold and silver vein was found along Humbug Creek. A town quickly boomed in the surrounding valley. In 1904, a post office was opened, and a wagon road was constructed to haul ore up to the railroad in Crown King. That road still remains today as part of the Backway to Crown King trail that we were just on. Oro Belle had a school, mill, water tanks, and a boarding house, of which only one wall remains today. A small building now buried in the brush used to house the safe for the town, which has been gone for the last several years. Success slowed down, and one of the main saloons was moved piece by burros uphill to its current location in downtown Crown King. Oro Belle eventually petered out in the 1920s, but not after creating a sizable economic impact. The thousands of feet of underground tunnels had produced more than $700,000 of mineral wealth. After checking out Oro Belle a little more in depth and getting some good information on some of the road conditions and private property lines, it was time now to head back down towards Lake Pleasant. The ride back was fairly fast, although bumpy, with light to moderate traffic conditions heading uphill. Overall, this was a fun ride up the Backway to Crown King. It had been quite a while, about 3 years since we rode the trail, so it was good to get out there again and get an update on the condition. As it sits right now, high clearance and four-wheel drive are absolutely necessary. Skid plates and lockers would also be helpful, as the condition of the trail will likely continue to degrade with future storms. Anyways, we enjoyed the ATV ride up, and although it was a bit bumpy, we did have some fun checking out a few of the numerous old mines in the Bradshaws just south of Crown King. While it was a little bit disappointing to find some of the historic mines blocked off, we hope to return to the Oro Belle area and further explore some of those forgotten backroads, which actually might be easier coming in the front way to Crown King and then heading the few miles south to where we were exploring. As always, I appreciate you watching this adventure, and as always, we'll see you on the next one.